Joining us in the studio, an incredibly talented stand-up comedian with, I would dare say, Hall of Fame credentials. An Emmy Award-nominated actress or actor, whatever is appropriate to say today.
Nailed it.
A fashion designer and a singer-songwriter. She's performing stand-up at Helium Comedy Club in Indianapolis tonight and Saturday, and you can see her at Helium Comedy Club in Philadelphia May 16th through the 18th. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Margaret Cho.
Thank you. I like actress.
You do? I do
actress.
too, so I'm glad you said that.
I like actress, and then I also like comedienne.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I'm very old school. Well, I'm
Okay, let's reset this.
No, I'm very old school because I just did something with Ruth Buzzi.
Okay,
Remember from
yeah.
Laughing? And she's like a comedienne.
Right.
So you want to be like, I love that kind of crew, that whole crew of like Joanne Worley, all the old Laughing like crew.
Sure.
And so to me, it's very meaningful.
Yeah, it has a little more prestige to it,
I like
say.
it's like very lady. Like it makes me feel like Carol Channing.
Can I
still
say,
alive? I
can
think
I
she's still
say
alive.
something? Out of all the people that have ever come into this office, including the guys that work here on a daily basis, and Billy McComas, who just got some fresh artwork, your tattoos are the best the best that have ever walked in.
yes.
Oh,
yes.
that's so nice.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the fact that you got your kneecap tattooed is an incredible pain threshold that I could
not
never,
a lot of meat there, Margaret.
never in a million years do that.
It's such a dumb one too because it's from the $1 bill and the $5 bill. It's George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, and it's because it costs $6 to spread them. I mean, and it's like this actually is not very good because I can't raise the prices ever.
Inflation, yeah. It's
Or I can't reduce them either. Because you want to have a sale every now and again. President's Day sale.
People love 20% off deals.
They
Just
do.
figure it out. You got to
I
figure
know.
it out.
I have to figure this out.
That's incredible. You're from San Francisco originally, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so what do you think of the Midwest when you travel, because you travel a lot, you've been doing stand-up for a very long time, you're very accomplished in that field. How do you feel about us Midwest folks what's the difference between the crowds here and out west?
I've only been to Bloomington, so the difference is there's all lesbians.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's that different to like San Francisco, which is also all lesbians. But that's all I know really about it.
Yeah, that's the Comedy Attic in Bloomington, Indiana.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, you're a regular there.
Yeah, and then I did their festival last year.
Limestone.
Yeah, which was really fun. So, but yeah, I have not played Indianapolis, I think, for a really long time. It's been quite a few years. And and I've never been to a club here. So this is very new and exciting.
Well, it's kind of weird because Indianapolis, I think it has a comfortable little comedy scene, but it's not really on the map per se, obviously. But for some reason, Matt and the guys that put that Limestone Comedy Festival together in Bloomington, that's really taken off. It's one of the more prestigious comedy festivals.
Yeah, people really love it. Yeah, people really
love
love it, and it's fun to do. And festivals are always fun for us because we get to go hang. It's like comedian Coachella.
Sure. Yeah.
Like without the herpes. Everybody got herpes at Coachella. Aren't you glad you didn't go? I'm so glad.
super excited.
Yeah.
I already have it.
1 in 3.
I know.
1 in 3.
I want to ask you a question specific to, it's not just because you're obviously of Asian heritage or whatever, but you're somebody who pretty much your act revolves around what's hot, social media-wise, and what's trending and whatever. How do you specifically feel about the Robert Kraft situation? Because that was a big deal with us because we do a lot of sports stuff.
I feel bad for him because the lady that was working with him at the Orchids of Day Spa, they have the Orchids of Asia Day Spa. Her picture was just so like, you don't want anything from that woman. Like, she was meant to, why don't you hurry? It's too long. Why you take so long? Now I have a kapatana. It's got to be rough. But I kind of do want to see the tape. I do want to see the tape. I feel bad for him because nobody wants their sex tape out there, but it might be good for him too.
It could be. You don't know what's going on.
Hammer
down there.
time.
He's gonna
I
hammer.
mean, yeah, and look at what it did for Kim Kardashian to have a sex tape. So it might help him. I mean, he's already out there on top, and I think I would like to see her in action. Maybe she should make a porn. That would be good.
It would.
I'm gonna be her manager.
Ray J gets forgotten in the whole thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's sad. He
Yeah.
gets left behind. Somebody steals his dog. Did you see that? Somebody stole his Maltese, and then he put out this giant reward, and they brought it back. So he's famous enough to get his Maltese back, which is nice.
Which is a certain level of famous.
That's the only
for
fame
sure.
you need.
You have a dog with you right now.
I have a dog, and she's Italian too, so she fits right in.
Let's
this group.
go.
Can we see her on camera
Like
so people on
Lucia.
YouTube can check out what's going on here? It's just adorable.
Yes.
The name again is
Lucia Caterina.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes. She's a
Beautiful.
good girl. She's so excited to meet all of you because she could smell all of your dogs.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have a lot of dogs amongst us.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
We also had wings in here too. So
Yeah, that's probably that.
yeah, a lot of meat too.
Oh, yeah. So she'll love that too.
Wing day in the studio. So small, easy to travel with, obviously. Like, I don't know what I've never had a dog that small. Like, how much does a dog eat?
She
that's that size.
she will make maybe I think about a cup maybe in a week.
Really?
Like so she really eats very very little, but she kind of does a sizable poo, like a surprisingly large. And now she's stacking the logs, which makes me think, oh my god, she's a grown dog. She's stacking them in the sort of like configuration. Almost looks like an emoji poo. Right. I'm really proud of her.
She's a Stonehenge shitter.
Yes, I love it.
You had all right. So you've done a lot of acting. You've been in a lot of TV, a lot of film. One of our favorite movies, and I don't know why it didn't get recognized by the Academy, but was Bright, and you played a police officer in Bright.
So great. I'm so great.
Love that movie.
I love that
We
movie.
hate-
So 3 days of that movie, we had to be dead on the ground because there were so many special effects. So I told my stunt double, who's really cool. She did all the stunts for all the Asian girls in Kill Bill.
Nice.
So she did all of mine in Bright, and I was like, fall on your face so that I don't have to be in the shot. She got shot, fell on her face, and then so she ended up laying on the ground for 3 days, and I didn't have to. I got to just walk around.
What a great veteran movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's like all these orcs, and it's all these. It's kind of like a really LA cop movie, but with like the Lord of the Rings characters.
It was kind of like Bad Boys meets Lord of the Rings. Like it was almost like
Absolutely.
what if Lord of the Rings
Sounds
hadn't
great.
happened, finished the way it did, and then we were in present day with it.
How was Will? How was Will Smith?
He's great. He's
Yeah, he
really,
is.
really fun. He's so amazing.
He's our favorite. Look, he's our favorite.
Talk about a movie star. And I mean, we really laughed, and he's just like you think he's going to be. You know, sometimes you meet these huge stars, and you're like, oh no, like I don't know, but he's the real deal. He's like something like Cary Grant, or the way that movie stars used to be, like
Sure.
an old school, real deal movie star. And I really love working with him.
Here, Will Smith.
Yeah,
Huh?
there's the Will.
Margaret, you don't have to lie. You can tell the truth here. This is a
Well,
safe
he
space.
did have a BlackBerry, which was weird.
There you go.
That
No, it's
I
not.
think
Weird dude.
No, it's not. I like that.
Weird
I think
dude.
that was kind of retro. It wasn't a sidekick or anything.
Nick's the only person on the planet that's not a fan of Will Smith.
It's not
by the way.
true. Numbers are growing daily.
Was-
He hates Will Smith. It's. I grew up with this guy, and if we're at a bar and any of Will Smith's bangers come on, which by the way, numerous bangers.
Quite a
Numerous.
few bangers.
Yes,
Quite a
it-
few bangers.
He leaves
20
the
years
bar.
ago, maybe.
He'll leave the bar. That's how bad he hates Will
Is
Smith.
it a Fresh Prince thing? Is it from the Fresh
No,
Prince?
I didn't mind. I liked the Fresh Prince
like the
growing
Fresh
up,
Prince.
and it was like kind of maybe around like after Independence Day and like the Men in Black stuff. That's when I started to turn. I was like, this is too much. It's too much of them.
Unbelievable. He's the worst, this guy.
Do you have
not your
any?
fault.
Yeah, so that was a great experience. They say never meet your heroes because they could let you down.
Yeah.
that was a great experience. Do you have any good stories on someone super famous that you met where it wasn't such a great?
Oh my God, Nicolas
Moment?
Cage is so mean.
Okay,
But
I wanted to ask about that.
He's
Face
super.
off.
This is the weird thing about Nicolas Cage is that if you're in a movie with him and you're on his side, like if say he's a bad guy and you're a bad guy with him, he's super nice to you. He's playing basketball with you. He has his own gym that he brings in a trailer
Are you serious?
behind his dressing room thing, so you could work out with him with his trainer. And then, but if you're on the other side, if like you're against him in the movie, he hates you.
So he just tries to stay in character.
He's in character the whole time. So in Face Off is really weird because half of it's he's a good guy. And half of it's bad. So it was like really like I didn't know what to do around him because it's like which one am I getting today? Because you weren't sure because part of it is like you don't really expect or you don't know. So it's so unsettling. But he's super method. So that's why I think that he's like that, But I found working with him very terrifying, and he yelled at me a bunch of times. And then like
For
John,
what? For what?
Well, just dumb things
He
like
yells a lot.
John Woo would have to separate us because like John Woo felt bad. He's like, don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. And I'm like, I'm supposed to talk to him because I have dialogue in this scene. I know, but we'll just wait. So it was really like very confusing. But
And you were Travolta's partner. You were playing an FBI agent as well. So what was he like? on
Travolta's
set?
great. Travolta, I would end up eating lunch with in his trailer. He invited me in, and I saw him eat an entire boysenberry pie, like a 9-inch
Wow.
boysenberry pie
Let's go.
with a fork, the whole thing. He didn't even take one out on a plate. He didn't slice it. He just ate the whole thing. And so I ended up eating so much food with him that in the back of my costume, they had to sew in a 3-inch panel because I gained about 30 pounds. It's crazy. We all got super fat because we couldn't stop eating all of the flaky crust.
He
Right.
fluctuates
It's
a
delicious.
lot.
That's why.
Yeah.
Travolta's weight
He
fluctuates.
does. He does. He's finally given up on the hair thing. He's finally just going to,
Yeah.
hey, you can see me, I'm bald now. Without the hairpiece era of Travolta was not good.
He's just, I don't know why, but he's also kind of in that vein of like old school Hollywood.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where he sort of seems to need to keep up appearances in so many ways. But I do like him without the hair. I mean,
I
think
do.
it's-
He looks
it's
fine.
great.
He's got a good shaped head.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Was-
like Bruce Willis.
Was doing Sharknado, was that just a bucket list thing that you had to cross off?
Sharknado's so funny. It's so fun. I had known Tara Reid like a really long time ago because we were in Stockholm for something together, and I was really mad because she didn't have any drugs. And I was like, "Who are you?" I know. I'm like, I don't even know you. And then, so I ended up getting in the movie, but it's so fun. But what's weird about Sharknado is that you're acting, but you don't see any of the special effects. So it's all like you're faking in front of just something that's going to be projected. So it's like a green screen, but sometimes it's not even a green screen. It's just like you're looking out at the sky, pretending there's like a giant Sharknado. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love it.
I figured.
We don't. I usually can tell this is a testosterone high environment here in this office, and it's not often that we get female perspective in here. We
Oh.
need more of it.
Well, it's
But
also a marijuana high environment as well.
very pro vitamin environment.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I wanted to get the female perspective on a couple things. One of which is we have this contest we're running within the two shows that we do where we all have to pick someone who's in prison and accomplish becoming pen pals with that person.
Okay.
That's kind of a famous type person.
Okay.
I am trying to become pen pals right now with Jodi Arias.
Oh, that's a good one.
Is that a good idea or a bad idea for me?
Well, I think don't visit her though.
No. No visiting.
Just and never leave her anywhere where you're in the shower and she's out of the shower. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think she's very attractive. So that would be a good person.
Yeah.
I would like to correspond with Lori Loughlin. Wait, is she in prison yet?
So they said she probably isn't going to go to prison.
She ratted on Massimo, didn't?
Well, there was some sort of like USC's rowing team. Like there was like a tweet that came out that apparently is going to blow everything open, and she's not going to get any trouble because of it.
Wow.
Well, there's a weird. You talked about her being attractive. I mean, she is, but here's like the weird guy brain aspect to that is anytime a guy sees a woman that's super crazy and dangerous, their hotness level goes from like 5 to 10 immediately.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. We're just screwed up that way.
No, it's the crazy factor. I mean, I think because I definitely love women as well, so I understand. The crazier, the better the vagina.
That's what.
Like,
Yes,
the crazier
that's it.
they are, the wetter the pussy. So it's
Yes.
that sort of like,
It's a true thing, right?
it's that kind of thing. It's like,
It is.
it's a really true thing because they're unleashed and
Yes.
unabashed. They'll do anything, but then they'll also set fire to your house and, kill you in the shower.
right. That's a drawback.
That's incredible.
Yes. I mean, I think she's actually very compelling though because she's just such small creature, and everybody seems to like fall in love with her. There's always these reporters who are like they start covering the case and then they're writing her book.
Absolutely.
And her lawyers and they're just repping her for free and there's all sorts of those things.
The
and
lawyer always ends up banging them, right? Like,
Yeah,
like with
always.
Casey Anthony, all that. It
Yeah.
always happens.
There was a rumor that happened with Ted Bundy. that he started banging one of his lawyers towards the end.
And
Yeah.
Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne said if he knew he was going to
right.
jail, he would have had sex with his lawyers.
Oh, and that's the thing. Have you watched the Netflix original Ted Bundy movie?
I haven't watched it yet. I mean, but I do know all about the case, and I'm looking forward to it. I love Zach a lot, and I think he's a great
great
guy.
It was good.
He's cool, so
He's
I'm
so
looking forward
good
to
in
it.
there.
Yeah.
But the fiance, like we were talking about it a few episodes ago. Like how does that happen? Like how does she have no idea? You know what I mean?
Well,
What's
I
going
think
on?
it's really about compartmentalization, which I think he was very good at because he gave off the appearance of being like he's like a young Republican and
Right.
he's able to represent himself in court and everybody's sort of looking at him as this impressive young intelligent man. And then there's a side of him who is putting makeup on girls and
having sex with their corpse.
yeah. I mean that's the sort of. The weirdness of it is that the way that they can compartmentalize and do different things in their lives. I mean, I guess it's just that's the nature of serial killers.
And that's why we're fascinated with their story, I guess. So maybe I shouldn't be so hard on her, but it just blows my mind.
Have you seen the movie Split?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
loved
a great
it.
movie. That's a great movie.
Where the psychiatrist is like, these people have the ability to unlock superpowers by being these different,
Yes.
having their brain be
Right.
different. I think Ted Bundy obviously is
I
that
think you're
same type of
right.
thing.
Yeah, especially like the last night where he does the big sorority house and
Yes.
he kills all those women in there and it's such a huge violent frenzy. You think, how is that possible? It's just one person doing that.
Right.
You know, where it seems like that or like these big kind of things where they take down a whole house like Richard Speck who killed all the nurses. That kind of thing. It's like there seems to be an element of a superpower that comes
Almost
out.
does like a super strength and a rage. Like, because if you ever like,
Not that it's good, by the way. It's not
No,
a good
it's not good.
superpower. It's
Not
just,
at all.
It's
interesting.
but like
very
if you ever had to
primal.
fight a crazy person, they have weird like orangutan strength. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, how are you so strong? It's like, it's just
Yeah.
because they have no inhibition. They're like, oh, I don't care if my arm breaks if I push too hard.
Right, they
You know
don't
what I
have
mean?
the societal things in their brain to make you stop, to
Yeah,
restrain them.
exactly.
Todd's
Yeah.
fought a lot of crazy people.
Yeah, big
He
fan
was a
of-
cop for 21 years, this guy.
Wow.
Yeah, right here. The
And
guy
you-
talking.
great.
That's why I like the
Great.
fact that you've played so many cops.
I always, because I look so dykey. They're like, oh, you have such dyke face. You better just play a cop. This pussy eating face. That's just what you see when you look at my face. Can't help it.
Let me see, Margaret. Yep, got it.
Pussy eating face. I just look. It looked like it. Like my nose smells like pee. I just always look like this.
Is this what your stand-up is, by the way?
Yes, unfortunately.
No, it's great.
I was going to ask like, what your set's going to be like, and I think
Just more of the same. I'm sorry.
You're very open about you like both guys and girls. That's how you live
definitely.
your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it gets you into trouble because people are very, devoted to who they are. So lesbians are like, why do you like that? And then men like it. That's different. But like the gay community's they look upon bisexuals as not really part of the community, but we are.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So you get some resistance from
Yeah.
LGBT
Yeah,
community?
because we don't have we have a dumb flag. It's like pink and purple. It's like that's the only colors of the rainbow that we represent. So it's just a dumb flag. I want to change the flag. There's all this stuff, but there's a kind of element of suspicion around the bisexual community because we can also go right back into the straight population. So that kind of duality is sort of misunderstood in a lot of ways.
Gotcha.
It is not a great flag. I
Yeah.
can confirm.
It's not that great. No, it's just really plain.
Margaret,
Storky.
could I ask about The Masked Singer, the good,
Yes.
bad, and the otherwise? How
Yeah.
was it for you?
I loved it. It was really hard because you couldn't hear or see out of the mask. And so they had a guide bring you everywhere. But my guide had really bad breath, like really bad. And it was really suffocating. And he would talk to me and he would fill up my snout with a breath. And it was like, I felt bad. But then I felt like I was just kept recirculating. I'm breathing in his breath and breathing it out.
Oh no!
So I
A
got
little
voted off
capsule
early.
of the guy's
Yeah.
shit breath.
It was so scary. That's one of my big fears
So what do you
about
do?
having bad breath.
Do we tell him or do we not tell him?
But
What
I
do we
don't
do?
know who he is because I never saw him outside of the mask. If I knew who he was, I would tell him.
Did he know who you were though? Did they know?
No,
who-
they didn't know because we had to have our mask on. So most of the stage crew didn't know, and because we would have to get in the mask before we even got to set. So it was this. They've really hit our identity very well. And even all the people that we were with, like if you had an entourage, they all had to wear masks too. So it was trippy.
Did you feel it was a little bit unfair whenever you found out who else was in it. They were professional singers and dancers.
It was totally unfair.
Yeah.
It was so unfair. I'm like, you're putting me up against Donny Osmond.
Yeah,
Gladys Knight.
Antonio Brown's out there singing terribly, and they're like, "Yeah, you're
Unfair.
competing against Gladys Knight."
Unfair. Well, they had to have us to get us like out early. Hey, Terry Bradshaw's a great singer.
He wasn't
He's
bad.
an awesome gospel, soul, like old time country singer. Like he has albums. He has a bunch of albums. He's
I had
really
no
cool.
idea.
He's super good. Like he's
that.
really, really good. But it's like it's not fair. We can't compete against T-Pain.
Was it auto-tuned at all, or was that just straight your voice?
No, they didn't let us auto-tune. Which I would have really appreciated some autotune. I'm not beyond that. Like I'm fine with autotune,
Hell yeah.
but they don't do that.
Well, I was listening to your album a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can sing. You
I
got
can sing.
chops.
I'm okay. You know, it's to me, it's like it's a wonderful thing to do. You know, and I love music, and I have a lot of musician friends that help me make music. But when you go on a thing like those big TV shows where they have music, they're so strict. Like any of those like contest shows, like they don't auto-tune it, they don't help you out in any way. So which I think is great because then you can really see what a singer can do.
Right.
That's why we all love like X Factor, America's Got Talent, that kind of stuff.
That X Factor kid disappeared. The little rapper, you remember him? The kid who won the X Factor. He's like a 15-year-old rapper. I think his name was Cosmo or Astronaut or something. He disappeared. Though.
Nothing happened.
I was
after
pulling
that?
hard for him. The show got canceled. The kid got lost. I don't know where he was. I love those. I love The Masked Singer. I'm a big fan of those
It's
shows.
fun.
Yeah, I love
It's
that type of
fun.
stuff. It is.
It's really fun. I love it because then it's something that everybody can kind of agree on. You know, in terms of entertainment, like I think in television, we all need something to focus on that we
Sure.
can all agree. And I think that show really did that.
Took over the internet every time it was on. It was #1 trend every single night it was on. That doesn't happen on a
Absolutely.
regular basis.
No, so
Is that Nick Cannon
cool.
show? Nick Cannon started the whole thing?
Yeah, it's actually a big show in Korea and also in Thailand. And so they brought it over to America. And I think, Nick Cannon's the host. He's really good at it. I think he's got a very special kind of quality that makes him really perfect for hosting something like that.
Oh, I thought he was the executive producer too.
Yeah, I'm sure that he has something to do with it. But
In the back end somehow. I'm sure.
it's all this, I think it's like they all, put the judges together very well, and I'm hoping to come back to judge. I was like, gonna,
nice.
Oh, they need you.
Ken make me do it. I'm going to ask Ken Jong.
No, you'd be perfect for it.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
need you.
I would love to.
I won't judge anybody that was up there judging, but it'd be great to get you up there.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, I think it would make the show better.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Are there any singers or musicians out there that you met that you weren't Margaret Cho, actress, comedienne, but you were fangirl, just like
I think, Prince, of course. Like, you can't even, it's like you can't even.
It's royalty.
You can't even
literally, yeah.
speak. Like, it's too much. It's just too much. David Bowie, like, I actually worked very briefly for David Bowie in the early 2000s for his reality tour, and I did some of his press releases. And so he invited me to come on some dates, and I just was like, I couldn't even keep it together. You can't with those like huge. Judy Collins also, who's an amazing Canadian songstress. I just fall at their feet. You know, I could. One time, Dolly Parton sent me a bunch of makeup. That she had a makeup collection, and she sent it to me, and I was like, I couldn't even like open it. I was so.
That's your girl. That's your girl, right?
That was-
yeah, that's my girl.
I love. So yes, there's a lot of people that I'm so amazed by, and I got to write a song with Patty Griffin, who's an amazing country singer who I worship her, and so there's a lot of people that I really, really am a fan of, and I can't even deal. Like I'm such a fangirl. I love rock and roll.
Margaret, is the Illuminati real?
I don't know. What do you think?
I've been
Maybe.
trying to get invited since I'm like 12 years old.
Are you a Mason? You want to be a Mason? Is it?
I don't know.
Freemason.
Oh, Freemason.
Freemason.
I don't know what it is. I just want to be in there.
It has something to do with like George Washington and like cake spatulas and like that all-seeing eye. All that secret society stuff is so intense. I'm like,
is?
what is this?
It's on the
No.
dollar bill.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on the dollar bill.
It's on
And-
every album of every musician.
Yeah,
that
like,
makes it big.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
what is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's something there.
I assumed
find
you
out.
knew, by the way.
I don't know. I'm not in the Illuminati.
If you do, though,
If I was in, I would tell you.
okay.
I wish I was.
It's very nice of you.
It would be cool to be in it.
Maybe a new tattoo, by the way, on the shin right there. You put that
Yes.
eyeball in there. If
That's
you
a
get
good
it.
idea.
Yep, I'm just saying.
Okay.
When you're going about your normal day and you're just scrolling through Twitter and IG or whatever, what kind of things really trip your trigger? When you see it, you're like, oh, I like that. I'm gonna take this to stage.
Like when it's twerking, but they have a tattoo around their butthole. And this is like kind of stopped me more than once. Like I'm like, what is that? And because you think it's like, oh, did they not? What? And then you're like, wait a second. And then it's like poetry. It always stops me. I'm like, whoa, because I go by really fast.
Right.
But I do like the twerking is like, I can't really do it.
Do you really wormhole hard into any subject matter in particular? Like when you see something?
Anything like maybe something Spice Girls related, I'll go really deep into, which is really specific. Anything 90s, I like a good sort of like a grunge moment. Like so, anything that goes into sort of like Nirvana and like beyond, like Seattle in the 90s, I like.
Oh, yeah.
So that sort of, I love that sort of historical sort of like geekiness of, especially Instagram, where you can kind of go to these like ones that are just super obsessed with one era.
Absolutely.
I love it.
I don't want to get cliche with this line of questioning, but you've been in comedy for a while. So, like, how did your break happen? And will you talk a little bit about like how comedians are catching that break now?
Well,
versus then?
I think I got my first break in the late 80s. I was in a comedy competition that was for college students, but I didn't even finish high school, and I lied my way into it, and I won. And then I got to open for Jerry Seinfeld. And then I met him, and he was very encouraging about my stand-up comedy, and he told me, like, you should really keep doing it because I think you'll be successful. And so since after that show, I got MTV's Half Hour Comedy Hour, which was a show back in the day. And then I got all of these talk shows, things like Tonight Show. I did Letterman. I did Jon Stewart's show, his first MTV show. All of those ones, and then Star Search.
Oh,
so
okay.
that helped me get into like Evening at the Improv and Comic Strip Live. There were so many like 90s TV shows that were like focused on stand-up comedy. So that's how it happened. But nowadays, I think people break in through social media, definitely through YouTube is a major factor. There are a lot of people from YouTube who are coming out there. And there's also like people that are launched in different venues, something like Adult Swim. Like guys I really like are Tim and Eric, and I like Eric Andre a lot. There's all sorts of different formats, different places to see comedy. People are really into comedy in a way now that their access to it is amazing. Like there's podcasts and so many kinds of ways to experience comedy. So it's a whole new industry, and I'm appreciative of it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think that back in the day it was kind of a niche thing. So like there were people that knew stand-up comedy, and there were a large portion. They knew like 3 people. That was it. They could name you Bill Cosby, George Carlin, and whoever else. And now it's like you see just people like even around here, they're into kind of a more like indie type comics. You know what I mean? They know not I won't say the little people, but the people that aren't so mainstream.
Yeah,
and it's really cool to see. I think.
Yeah, and it's also very specific, like specified to like your interest. Like there's certain people that are just like really into this one thing, or they do this other like thing, or this kind of event, or kind of So whether it's a fandom or a sports event, or some kind of like thing, everybody's got their own channel, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I do too. You got anything cool coming up people need to know about?
I'm gonna be doing some. I'm going to be in some puppet show. I don't even know. I have some TV shows I'm trying to develop. I have some TV shows I'm trying to make, produce.
What about?
There's like a show that I'm making that it's on YouTube now. It's called Mercy Mistress, and it's all about an Asian American dominatrix who sees clients in New York City. So it's her journey through there, and it's a little racy. Sometimes we get age restricted, and we have to move things around. But it's
but it's good.
I do want to do that. I'm super like. I miss the old days of Cinemax, where you would get this like sort of softcore program that was really intelligent, but it was like I miss it. I love those like movies like 9.5 Weeks or that kind of genre where we don't really see that anymore.
Sure.
Which 50 Shades of Grey I think tries to be that, but it's not as dangerous. So I would love to sort of create programming that is. So I'm moving towards that.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yes.
You don't think when Mr. Grey smacked that lady with the what's that bird? The big bird, NBC.
The peacock.
A peacock feather. You don't think that was dangerous? Yeah, that was a pretty scary situation.
It doesn't make sense because guys like Christian Grey just want to get peed on. Like that's like the only thing that a guy like that wants. So I don't think it's realistic to show him being sort of a top or flying a helicopter. I mean, that guy, he just wants to be peed on. So I think it's very inaccurate.
You have some kind of intimate
flying helicopter.
history with that. Is that why you chose that subject matter? Like, do you have a friend that's into that?
No,
or?
I used to work at this. So one of my first jobs was I worked at this lesbian BDSM collective called Stormy Leather. Now it's a huge company, but in the 80s it was like this little business that they were just making leather dildos, and so I worked for them for years, and I went to all of these play parties to sell, as a vendor. So I saw amazing stuff, and it's just a crazy world, and they
think so.
Get so into it, and I think it's really fascinating. I think it's really beautiful, and just witnessing so much of it. I think that what was really interesting is that at these BDSM events, they always had some kind of chili and chocolate chip cookie. They always had those two food items, which I think is weird to eat that and have sex.
Correct.
But it's something that I noticed time and time again.
No, the chili's not bad. Now, I've been there. So the chili's not bad.
Yeah.
Really. I'm just telling you, it's not bad.
Some without beans.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being here. And as everybody can tell after this interview, if you didn't know of Margaret Cho before, obviously you need to go see her show. It's going to be awesome. It is awesome. Yay! Catch her again at Helium Comedy Club this weekend, and then May 16th through the 18th at Helium Comedy Club in Philly. And go to margaretcho.com. Just check out what's coming. I can't wait to see this series.
Yes.
I'm sure it's going to be announced on there soon.
Yeah. It's
when it
out
pops
now.
up.
Yeah, so you can watch it on YouTube. It's YouTube/Mercy Mistress.
There we go.
Very
Boom.
important question, Margaret, before you go. Where is Lucia when you're on stage?
Oh, Lucia is in the dressing room
Nice.
Okay.
with her daddy, her Italian father.
Nice.
He's in the
nice.
dressing room with her.
All right.
Hey, I want to let you know, I had no idea what to expect coming in here. You're electric.
Oh, I love you. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Absolutely incredible stuff.
Absolutely. There's a reason you're loved so much,
Oh,
obviously.
I love you. Thank
and
you.
you talk about meeting your heroes. I've been following you for a long time, obviously.
Aw.
And to meet you, it's refreshing to know that you're awesome to hang out with.
He was all jacked
you.
up.
Yeah.
It was it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I would assume that your demographic isn't 21 years state police in Indiana.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that, but he's very excited.
Yeah.
And so were we all. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Ladies
Thank
and gentlemen, let's give it up for Margaret Cho.